10 out of the last 13 years were the warmest on record. 97% of climate scientists agree that this new tendency is not caused by the variations of the Earth's orbit, but rather very likely caused by human activities. That means you and me.
1.8 degree increase in global temperature, Arctic ice decreasing, and sea level increasing 3.2 millimeters per year. That is what our world has become. Dr. Michael Gunson from NASA Laboratories expresses, "The world is quickening the rate of accumulation of CO2 and has no signs of slowing down. It should be a psychological tripwire for everyone. With climate change becoming worse and worse by the minute, it's hard not to carry the weight on our shoulders as it is our fault. From using plastic water bottles to keeping lights on in your house, these are all prime examples of how we contribute to climate change. With pollution at a high, global warming, and overuse of greenhouse gases, climate change will only keep increasing."
I would say our transportation, our cars, our planes, and our boats give off the most carbon dioxide and pollution, which is really impacting climate change.
Greenhouse gases from human activities are the most significant driver of observed climate change since the mid-20th century. In the United States, greenhouse gas emissions caused by human activities increased by 7% from 1990 to 2014. With carbon dioxide being responsible for 3/4 the emissions, it's increasing by 42%. Methane, coal, oil, and water vapor are some of the other gases that are trapping heat in the atmosphere, causing more droughts, melting glaciers, and overall higher temperatures. Other greenhouse gases are emitted in smaller quantities, but they trap heat far more effectively than CO2, and in some times are thousands of times stronger. Methane is responsible for 17% of man-made global warming, nitrous oxide for 6%. If we don't act now, who knows what our future is going to look like?
Well, it's heating it up, so it's causing the Earth to get warmer. So glaciers are melting, ice caps are melting, increasing sea level. The heat also causes the water in the ocean to expand, which increases sea level. So there's two things going on there. It causes our storms to be more severe, as we've seen with hurricanes, with tornadoes, in places that we're not used to seeing them. It causes some places to have winter different than before, where it gets colder instead of warmer. Some places it causes more rainfall, heavier rainfall. Maybe even around here you've noticed that the rain sometimes comes heavier now, and we have more floods to watch out for than before when it was just a drizzly rain. Sometimes it causes more snow in the mountains. We've seen that in the last couple of years, and 3 years ago we saw there was hardly any snow in the mountains, and salmon had trouble going upstream in the fall because there wasn't enough water. So lots of impacts.
The future illustrates the sky is not the vast and limitless expanse it appears when we look up from the ground. It is a very thin shell of atmosphere surrounding the planet. That right now is the open sewer for our industrial civilization as it's currently organized. We are spewing 110 million tons of heat-trapping global warming pollution into it every 24 hours. Free of charge, go ahead. And there are many sources of the greenhouse gases. I'm certainly not going to go through them all. I'm going to focus on the main one, but agriculture is involved, diet is involved, population is involved, management of forests, transportation, the oceans, the melting of the permafrost. But I'm going to focus on the heart of the problem, which is the fact that we still rely on dirty carbon-based fuels for 85% of all the energy that
7.4 billion people heating and cooling their homes all at once. 7.4 billion people driving from place to place, not even realizing how they're emitting all these gases out in the open. 7.4 billion people flipping light switches on every day. 7.4 billion people throwing their plastic water bottles straight to the garbage can, not even realizing there's a recycling bin. That's 7.4 billion people all over the world contributing to why climate change is the worst it has ever been. How is this right? To stop and think about all the people from all over the world, how at every second of every day we are the reason climate change is the worst it has ever been is mind-blowing. We are the problem. However, we are the solution for change too. Just one child can produce 20 times more greenhouse gases than a person will save by driving a high-mileage car, recycling, using energy-efficient appliances and light bulbs. Each child born in the United States will add about 9 1,441 metric tons of carbon dioxide to the carbon legacy of an average parent. As a community, as one, we cannot afford to let days, months, and even years to pass with another rise in sea level or another increase in carbon dioxide levels. Nearly half of all ocean pollution comes from activities that take place on land, like sewage, industrial and agriculture runoff, garbage dumping, and chemical spills. Another third comes from airborne pollutants, such as sulfur dioxide and mercury from coal-burning power plants. Fish are starving, and the ones that can find food don't know that what they are eating is probably covered in oil. Many birds, fish, and other marine life are being caught in plastic bottles and netting of food packaging, causing their lives to be cut short. When you walk around beaches or boardwalks and see trash everywhere you go, it has become normal. But imagine if that was you, being surrounded with trash, trying to go on with your life but being limited to where you can and cannot go, as there is bottles and trash everywhere you turn. The ocean is also becoming more acidic, which threatens the species of coral and plankton. Plastic pollution comes in all shapes and sizes. Larger pieces make up the Eastern Garbage Patch, a floating whirlpool of trash in the Pacific Oceans that's about the size of Texas. Smaller pieces, like the microbeads in your toothpaste and cosmetics, are choking hundreds of different marine species. Every day, every month, and every year, we are closer to having innocent species become extinct because of our harmful acts.
Depending on what websites you go to and what sources you trust, the answer actually isn't so clear. What is clear for sure, however, is that the overwhelming amount of climate scientists, the very experts in this field, do agree that the climate is changing and it has something to do with what humans are putting into our atmosphere. Whether or not the exact number is really 97% or 86% or 75% is largely irrelevant. The point is that the vast amount of people who study this for a living believe it to be true.
All in all, we must not act individually, but we must act all in unity. If all 7.4 billion of us around the world start making the smallest changes to our daily routines, such as turning the lights off when you leave the room, or not using your heat and AC as much, to reusing and recycling as much as possible, or even carpooling more to cut down on gas, that will be 7.4 billion people changing the world together. If we keep up all these small acts, they will add up and will help Earth in the long run. It's now or never, and it all starts with you. We are the change, and our actions are the only thing that will help make a difference.